Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbalay in Abuja. So much to serve you tonight on the program. Please stay with me and let's begin tonight by letting you know that the governor of Imo State, Senator Hope Uzodinma, has assured the residents of the state that there will be no need to arm themselves against gunmen terrorizing the state. He gave the assurance on Tuesday, that's today, earlier today, after meeting with President Buhari in his office at the presidential villa. This followed the call by the governor of Zamfara State, Mr. Bello Matawale, who asked the president of the state to procure licenses and arm themselves in the face of persistent attacks on various communities. Briefing State House correspondents after the meeting with the president, Governor Uzodinma said the security situation in Imo State has not degenerated to the level of asking the people to defend themselves. He also spoke about the presidential candidate of the APC, Bola Tinubu.
Well, the situation in Zamfara State is not the same with that in Imo State. However, the governor, if he called for individuals to apply for licenses, I think government will only give license to a qualified and eligible candidate if provided is the approving authority that is responsible for the issuance of licenses that will issue the license. But I don't think there is need for individuals to unauthorized people to carry arms in Imo State. Well, all the things so mentioned are internal party challenges that will be resolved. But for my presidential candidate, the issue of certificate shouldn't even arise. In 1999, he contested the election, became the governor of Lagos. In 2003, he contested the election, second term, governor of Lagos. He ran and won as a senator in the country. Where record keeping is efficient and INEC server functional, he doesn't need to do fresh submission. But however, if whatever he's supposed to submit is not handy, it's not late yet. I'm sure before the time, he will submit whatever is required of him.
As the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, speaking about the situation in Imo State, and of course, the presidential candidate of the APC, Bola Tinubu. Where do we start from? I guess the crisis in the APC gets us started on the program tonight. Perhaps a looming disaster that may tear the party apart. The president is trying to weigh in. Senator Orji Uzor Kalu led some of his colleagues to the president, and they stated their grievances because we're already seeing leaders of the APC in the National Assembly jumping ship. Now, more is to happen because there's a huge turnover in the National Assembly as far as those who are returning and not returning in the 10th National Assembly. But we'll dig into that just in a moment. But let's serve you first and foremost your political roundup stories.
Former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Ayim Pius Ayim, says those who criticize the administration of former President Goodluck Jonathan for not implementing the report of the 2014 National Conference do not understand the dynamics of the political environment in Nigeria. Speaking at the national conversation on the 2014 National Conference, the former SGF says the country was at the eve of the general elections, and so it was impossible to turn in the report of the conference to the National Assembly for ratification before implementing it. Mr. Ayim, who represents former President Goodluck Jonathan at the event, says the defection of the then Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Aminu Tambuwal, to the opposition party for the complicated any cooperation he could have received from the National Assembly.
As at that time, it was obvious that the ethnic nationalities were singing discordant tunes on the state of the nation and future of the country. The widening fault lines posed a clear threat to the stability and existence of our dear nation.
Speaker of the House of Representatives says he's shocked and concerned about the situation with former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu and his wife. He's asking the Nigerian High Commission in the United Kingdom to avail him of all the support he requires. The Speaker also says he is in contact with the Nigerian High Commissioner to the United Kingdom to ensure that all resources needed for the defense of the Ekweremadus are made available to them, considering that the allegations do not equal judgment.
I asked the Nigerian High Commission to avail Senator Igwe and his family all necessary defense and support that he will need to defend himself.
Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello has assured that the current administration under his leadership will continue to work harmoniously with the judiciary and legislative arms of government to deliver good governance to the people of the state. Governor Bello stated this in an address at the swearing-in of Honorable Justice Josiah Majibi as the new acting Chief Judge of Kogi State.
I have given my support to each successor to the office once the merits and equities of his claims are clear.
The United Nations Special Representative of the UN Secretary General to West Africa and the Sahel, Mr. Mohamed Saleh, is urging the ruling All Progressives Congress APC to ensure it plays by the rules to ensure free, fair and credible elections come 2023. He stated this while speaking through an interpreter at the headquarters of the party in Abuja, where he was received by the Deputy National Chairman South of the party, Senator Bulkachuwa, alongside some members of the NWC of the party. A suit seeking court order to determine the authentic factions of the Ogun State chapter of the PDP has been brought before an Abeokuta Federal High Court. Two factions of the party are currently laying claims to be the authentic faction to conduct the state governorship primary. It will be recalled that the Sikurulai Ogundele-led State Executive Council had conducted the just concluded primaries where candidates for the party emerged. Justice Olajumoke Oguntoyinbo, who presided over the case, has fixed the 13th of July for hearing of the application. A faction of the party led by Samson Bangboshe had approached the court challenging the leadership of the party in the state, saying that the Sikurulai Ogundele-led executive is not the authentic state executive and had no right to conduct the primaries. And the All Progressive Congress Northern Women Caucus is urging women in the country to vote for the ruling All Progressives Congress from top to bottom in the forthcoming 2023 general elections. The caucus made the appeal during the official launch of campaigns on PVC registration and collection, as well as women inclusion in governance advocacy in Katsina State.
Tonight, we'll dwell on what is happening in the APC, and later on, we'll also dig into the situation in the judiciary. The Senate is looking to probing what the Supreme Court has faced in the last few weeks, leading up to the resignation of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Tanko Muhammad. Now, that is going to be in part 2 of the program. But let's focus now on what is happening in the APC. There is fire on the mountain in the ruling APC, and this might cost some exodus out of the party. This is coming in the wake of the different primaries conducted by the party. Some aggrieved federal lawmakers in the APC have taken their grievances to the presidential villa, and President Muhammadu Buhari is now urging aggrieved senators under the All Progressives Congress to exercise restraint in their move to defect from the party, asserting that it is a threat to the APC majority in the National Assembly. The president made a comment while meeting with some aggrieved senators led by the chief whip of the Senate, Senator Orji Uzo Kalu, in the council chamber of the presidential villa. He says that the leadership of the APC will sustain the hearing and healing process that it started to ensure fairness, justice, and oneness before the 2023 general elections. Some of the senators spoke. In fact, we understand that the 22 of them spoke on their own grievances. And here are some of what the president said at that meeting.
I have noted your grievances, particularly as it concerns the just concluded processes, the cost to the nation, the threat to the majority position held by our party in the legislative chambers, and likely consequent costs to the electoral fortunes of our party as we approach the general elections. We must not allow these dire threats to come to pass. As part of the policy of using the party machinery for effective resolution of conflict, the chairman and some members of the National Working Committee visited the National Assembly recently to dialogue with our legislators. The leadership of the party is currently addressing the outcomes as part of the way forward. I am encouraging all the party functionaries to adhere to the truth and to be fair to all parties in any dispute.
So you heard the president. There's a lot happening under the ground that we do not know in the APC. If you see leaders of the party in the National Assembly leaving, jumping ship, dumping the party, abandoning the ship, and going to the other side, you know that there is more than fire that is burning in that party. So tonight, let's hear from one of the major stakeholders in the party, and perhaps one person that you would have heard defect from the APC is Senator Adamu Mohammed Bulkachuwa. He joins us live in our studio tonight. Thank you so much, distinguished Senator, for joining us.
Thank you for having me tonight.
So you would have left the APC?
No, I wasn't part of that, but you know, when you have so many people aggrieved, so many senators who have served and diligently too, they worked hard to see APC come to power. And all of a sudden, after 2 terms of Mr. President, the election, or rather primaries, that took place, you know, there's a lot to be desired. And in the process, the APC's legislators had so much casualties. And, you know, they say in my language, you can't beat a child and stop him from crying. So they exercised their grievance, they openly, some of them that are even in the leadership position in the Senate, for instance, didn't waste time and didn't wait to sound the opinion of any other person. They just crossed the carpet and they defected, and to all other parties, to PDP. And among these is the leader, Senate leader. I mean, this is a serious development.
That's perhaps the biggest disaster for your party in the National Assembly.
That's right.
When the leader of the senators of the APC is jumping ship.
Yes.
So we understand that his governors also denied him ticket. That's the allegation.
Well, actually what happened was there was so much rancor in Kebbi State, where the leader came from. And in fact, the most prominent member of the APC in Kebbi State, in the person of Senator Adamu Alero, who was 2-time governor in Kebbi, even he himself was denied the privileges of serving APC or being a foremost senator, with a lot of following.
Yeah, Senator, you got your ticket. You're coming back.
No.
You didn't get a ticket. You don't want to return.
No, I withdrew.
You withdrew from the race.
Yes.
Is there any reason why you withdrew?
Well, you see, everybody has a way of protesting. The reason why I withdrew was very simple. I complained about the process, and the team that was sent from Abuja to conduct primaries for the Senate, well, for the governorship, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. I think from my discussion with them, our meeting, it looks like they went to Bauchi with a predetermined mind.
So you withdrew before the primaries?
Yes.
You knew that you were not going to have...
I tried to make sure that things are put right. So since the answers I got were that...
Were you able to confront your governor about this?
We have no governor. We have no APC governor.
I was going to, in Bauchi, yeah, there's no APC.
There is no APC governor.
Senator Bala Mohammed is of the PDP.
Yes.
But, I mean, who are you attributing? Because in the APC state, some of the senators are alleging the governors are the ones behind their
That's
appeal.
right, but it's not the same case in Bauchi state.
So who is behind yours?
Well, I don't know. I would say the party leadership and, of course, the gentleman who is assigned the responsibility of leading APC in Bauchi state.
And who is this?
This is a minister for education.
So is one...
Not elected. Of course, you know ministers are not elected.
But they are the presumed leader of the party.
Yes, but that's unusual.
But have you had a conversation with him?
Of course I did.
About your grievances?
About even before there were suggestions how things could go amicably, and APC would not lose anything. But since those suggestions were not adhered to, as a result, two of my colleagues just jumped ship.
So in Bauchi state now, you are...
I'm the only one still
in the APC?
In the APC.
So you are
the other two senators...
You are the lone child of the APC in the National Assembly?
Yes, but you see...
How sad do you feel about this?
No, I feel very sad because my role in establishing APC itself in Bauchi is phenomenal. Of course, everybody knows that.
So you feel that you've been shortchanged?
Well, I feel things did not go right.
All right. I mean, you are a very good friend to the president.
So?
I mean, so are you able to tell him your mind today?
But no, the president, you know, he is a father for all. And since he personally selected the party chairman to be the consensus candidate, you don't expect him to turn around and say, you chairman, you didn't do well.
But I mean, Bauchi state is one of the largest voting states.
It's one of
Do you see the chances of your party being threatened at the polls?
It is definitely threatened.
Now, I mean, you very much aware of what is happening in the APC. We understand that some of the APC governors, those who are seeking second term, they had a bargain that they will get automatic ticket. Well, so do you feel bad that this was not the lot of the lawmakers?
No, in fact, it's not the generality of lawmakers. In the case of Bauchi, members of the State Assembly, we had from the beginning of 2019, we had 22 lawmakers in the State Assembly who are APC, and as against the total number of 31. And APC had 22. But as time went on, about 12 of them, 11 or 12, decamped to PDP. So in the 2022 primaries, the remaining APC members of the State Assembly were given automatic ticket.
So, I mean, what is happening now? You said for Bauchi State, the chances of your party is threatened.
I am telling you, it is.
Yeah. How many of your colleagues will probably be returning? They're very...
No, nobody.
No, I'm talking generally in the APC, in the Senate.
In the Senate from Bauchi?
No. From APC in the Senate generally. Do you know how many of them that are returning?
I think they are not more than 38.
Out of almost 70 or 60?
About 75, 78.
And one of the reasons I understand that the lawmakers wanted the Electoral Act to be framed in a certain way was also to secure for themselves a possible return to the National Assembly.
No, that is not the truth. The truth is, you know, we have been contacting the executive all along when we're doing the new Electoral Act. And the president has persistently told us that his wish is for the National Assembly to hand over the party to the people so that there will be true democracy. And our fashioning of the Electoral Act in this manner is an attempt by the National Assembly to really return the party to the masses so that they will have a voice, and that in their...
And so that the governors and some individuals will not overpower the process.
Yes, the governors and other stakeholders will not just be in control and make sure that only those they like or their cronies are elected.
So, but that didn't happen, unfortunately.
That didn't happen because...
It looks like the lawmakers have shot themselves in the foot, isn't it?
No, we didn't. The legislature didn't. But if you don't forget, the first act we gave Mr. President, he returned it with an amendment. So, if he had signed that one, everything would have gone normal. But we think he was influenced by the Minister of Justice, who I think he believed that the Electoral Act doesn't favor him personally. So he advised Mr. President not to sign and send an amendment. And we have cooperated with Mr. President all through from 2019 to date. And, well, we thought, okay, Mr. President brought in his amendment, and we looked at the amendment. We said, okay, so let it be. So we fashioned it along his amendment and sent it back. Sooner did we do that, the same minister who advised him to sign now went to court in the name of the president and himself.
Are you referring to the Attorney General?
Yes, Attorney General.
Did you lay all of these complaints before the president?
No, that is not the... That's
the
not
premise
the,
of... I mean, that's not the business
that's
of
not
today.
In the
business
of
today, Senator,
the business
were you able to ask for a compensation since some of you are not returning? Did the president, was he able to promise any kind of compensation or recompensation for the loss?
What the president promised was that, okay, all these grievances would be looked into. And for those whose case or cases would be adjusted and they may be able to get their ticket, that is okay. For those who are really staunch APC members and who had worked hard for APC and who will still work hard to ensure APC victory at the state level and at the national level, those senators whose case cannot be adjusted will be compensated somehow.
How?
Well,
did he state how?
No, he didn't state.
Did he state how? I mean, procedure and modality?
Not procedure, but he says will be carried along.
Were there any party leadership present at that meeting?
The only party leadership, no. In fact, for party, no, nobody was there.
But when you met...
We're only from the Senate, and the leadership of the Senate was represented by
the Chief Whip.
The Chief Whip.
Now, when the leadership of the party met with you, what was the promise made?
The promise was all aggrieved senators addressed the party chairman and told him in no uncertain terms about their grievance, about why they are angry. And after listening to everybody, the party chairman has no other answer than to say, I accept responsibility. And I will see whatever that could be done to rescue or to amend what had gone wrong. So that was his answer. And after we had finished our meeting, the press asked him, and he repeated the same thing.
So you are not happy with what has happened?
No, I am not.
Would you work for the party in the 2023 election?
Since I am still part of the party, I will. But given what is happening back in Bauchi, for instance, so many people have jumped ship. So many APC.
So you see Senator Bala Mohammed possibly winning the governorship and PDP possibly winning Bauchi State in 2023?
It's possible. I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't rule it out.
Higher than before now.
I wouldn't rule it out, yes.
If there is a possibility of 9/10, 10 being the highest before, what does it look like now?
Now it's 50-50.
There's danger.
A very big one.
And you alone cannot fight the battle?
Well, I alone cannot fight that battle. Of course, I have followers that I can convince, but I'm not sure whether I can cover the remaining 50.
So do you also smell trouble? President Buhari, who is a very good friend, is not going to be on the ballot in 2023.
He is not going to be. That is another hurdle for us.
But how would that play out?
Well, you
the
see,
almost 10 million vote that he always had, would that go into the wind?
You mean 10 million?
President Buhari.
No, President Buhari had more than 10. He had 15, 14, 15 and above, yes.
But I'm saying now that is not on the ballot. Is that threatening?
I'm not sure APC will get that much.
Again?
No, not for presidential.
Now,
because
about Bola Tinubu, you know much about him.
I know a lot about him.
Yeah. So, I mean, a Muslim ticket, do you think that will work?
No. That one, I always de-emphasize it. This, I don't know why it's an issue.
Is it not an issue?
It's not. I don't think so. Because, look, the quality of a president hasn't got anything to do with his religion. I thought we are voting a president for Nigeria, not from where he comes from, or his religion, or his tribe. No. So please, people should de-emphasize.
We're in a very diverse nation.
We are diverse,
but then
what is the meaning of democracy?
Of tribes and tongues.
Yes, what is the meaning of democracy?
And the multiplicity of religion and belief system.
Exactly, but it doesn't mean that everybody must be taken into consideration.
Why did the law talk about federal character?
Federal character is only
for all
in employment
and belief system.
In employment, when federal government is employing, or when within a state, the state government is employing, you should observe federal character. But I mean, that is the area,
Senator,
where
you are very entrenched in the politics of the North.
I am.
You know what your people believe. You think a northern Christian...
Are you talking for my people now?
No, I'm asking. Would your people accept a Christian, popularly accept a Christian candidate for your party? Is it possible in the North?
Wait a minute. Have you forgotten that Gawan was head of state for so long, even though military? He wasn't ousted by his colleagues. He's a Christian from the North. Was he not accepted? And if you don't forget, it's the North that elected Obasanjo. Is he not a Christian? We voted for him.
Well, Obasanjo had an Atiku Abubakar, a Muslim.
Listen, Obasanjo wasn't elected in his ward, in his polling unit outside his house. But we elected him all the same, a Christian.
So you think things will change this time around?
No, nothing.
You think the North would not bother if there is a Christian vice presidential candidate for the APC?
Look, where were you in 1992 when Abiola and Kingibe were elected?
You think the situation is the same?
No, I don't say the situation is the same. I'm asking you, where were you?
I'm here in this country.
Yes.
I followed. I probably voted.
Did you vote?
I probably did.
And if you did...
So the question is, was the situation the same, Senator,
no,
compared to now?
What I am saying is that the issue of religion and ethnicity was not being propagated as much as it is now being made.
Do you think your party can win 2023 elections,
we
Senator?
thought we had one Nigeria.
Yeah, but things are very
But anybody
now.
that would say we can't accept Muslim or Christian.
But the Nigeria of today is different from the Nigeria at the time that you're describing.
No.
So, let's wrap up this conversation, Senator.
Yes.
Do you think that your party can win 2023 election with Bola Tinubu?
Well, it depends on circumstances.
Against Atiku Abubakar?
One is still his running mate is not truly known. The one that is now warming the seat. Everybody, including Tinubu himself, knew that he is not the real running mate. So we wait. And these are some of the circumstances that will determine whether he will win or he will not.
Well, it's not certain yet for you from what you're looking at.
No, but we don't know the running mate. The running mate will make a lot of difference.
All right. Senator Adamu Muhammad Bulkachuwa, it's always a pleasure having the political conversations with you. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll take a break, everyone. And when we return, the Senate plans to probe the situation in the Supreme Court. Find out more on this after now. Join us again, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. Let's get back into it. So let's tell you that the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, is soliciting the support of Nigerian workers ahead of the 2023 general elections, promising to transform Nigeria's economy from a consuming to a producing economy. Mr. Obi met with the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress in Abuja. He says Nigerian workers must produce Nigeria's next president in 2023. Take a listen to him.
Nigeria is not a producing country. It's not producing anything. The cumulative effect of what we are suffering today is bad leadership. It's a leadership that concentrates on sharing. We have to move from sharing formula to production formula. All our young people in their productive age are not doing anything. So you're going to have a crisis. And that is what Labour and the Labour Party and everybody will sit down to discuss on the future of our country. Nobody can be president without sitting down with the Labour and every organization to decide the future of Nigeria. We can no longer have a situation where the leaders are here, the workers are here. They must sit on the same table and talk. Yesterday and today we miss tomorrow. I want to go to tomorrow.
Well, that's Mr. Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. Of course, the governorship election in Osun State is slated for the 16th of July, 2022, and the different political parties are on the field campaigning, and there are a lot of activities, movement here and there. Let's report to you that several members of the PDP in Osun State have defected to the APC. The defectors were led by a former chairman of the PDP, Mr. Wale Ojo, and former deputy governorship candidate of the party, Albert Adeogun, who defected into the APC with their supporters across the local government areas of the state. The defector were received by the Osun State Governor, Mr. Adegboyega Oyetola, and the National Secretary of the APC, Mr. Iola Omishore, at an event held at the Freedom Park in Osogbo, the state capital. So from yesterday, we've been tracking and following for you the stories coming out of the Supreme Court. It was something that a lot of us woke up to. The CJN resigned. Very unusual. Now, the number two person, the man who is next to him as far as the hierarchy and the ranking of the Supreme Court justices in the nation is concerned, Justice Ariwola, was sworn in by President Buhari. Well, today, the Senate has resolved to continue with its investigation into the crisis in the Supreme Court despite the resignation of Justice Tanko Muhammad as the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Lawmakers in the upper chamber of the National Assembly made a resolution during plenary today, following a motion moved by the chairman of the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, Senator Opeyemi Bamidele. Justices of the Supreme Court had, in a petition addressed to the immediate past CGN, raised concern over the deplorable welfare conditions and difficult working environment in the Apex Court. Days after the development, Justice Mohammed resigned as the CGN on the grounds of ill health, cutting short his tenure in office, which was expected to last until 2023. Cleaning the judiciary organs tables. That is what it looks like to all of us right now, when these allegations are flying left, right, and center, and these issues are coming to an institution that's supposed to correct the ills of the society and serve as an arbiter in any of the conflict that we say. Now we're seeing conflict emanating from that institution. It gets us talking. And we're getting one of the senior lawyers in Nigeria today. I'm being joined by Mr. Yakubu Mikel, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
As a very senior lawyer in the land, the development in the judiciary, especially in the highest ranking court of Nigeria, the Supreme Court, how did this come to you?
Well, the situation in the Supreme Court is most unusual and gives very serious cause for concern. And so we've seen some unusual developments that started with the leak of that letter written by 14 justices of the Supreme Court to the outgone Chief Justice of Nigeria. It's unusual to have justices or even judges of a court make such a complaint. The experience of the judiciary is not unknown to all of us. It's most unfortunate that the judiciary has been neglected over the years, and that neglect is actually what culminated to what we saw in the letter that was written by the justices of the Supreme Court to the then Chief Justice of Nigeria. And it had to do with the refusal by the institution that has the responsibility to look into the salaries, allowances, and emoluments of judicial officers in this country to perform its own statutory function, constitutional function, in making sure that it reviews the allowances of the judges and justices of the Supreme Court, or all the courts in the land, superior courts of the land, to make sure that they reflect the reality of our situation. That hasn't been done. The last time in this country that the law which prescribes or made the determination for their salaries and allowances actually made such a determination was in 2008.
So the judges are poorly paid?
They are terribly and poorly paid.
We understand that they're being paid as much as professors in the university. Less than ₦1 million, about 800, 900,000. Is that the true position of things?
That is the true position of things. Aside from the poor salaries that they get, I give you an example of judges of the Federal High Court, for instance, who haven't had their salaries reviewed since 2008. Now they are posted from one judicial division in the country to another judicial division across the country. So there are vehicles which they use to move around when they are posted, or even when they have to move from one point to the other because they have to leave their families in one position and at a particular station to be able to move around. They cannot be moving with their families each time they are posted from one judicial division to the other. So they need to have functional vehicles that would convey them to perform their judicial duties. Those vehicles have not been changed for years. The same thing with the justices of the Court of Appeal. I mean, we have several divisions of the Court of Appeal have to move from one division of the Court of Appeal to another division of the Court of Appeal.
So there's a huge disparity between the arms of government. I mean,
absolutely.
Is the judiciary, in quote, intentionally, badly or poorly funded to harm it?
Well, I think there is deliberateness in it.
To make it subservient?
I believe so.
I mean, who are those responsible in the funding or the to apportioning of funding for the judiciary. I mean, all of us have been talking about the independence of the judiciary. A lot of people will say, there's nothing like that. It doesn't exist. So where do we start from?
Well, we should start by guaranteeing the financial independence of the judiciary. A situation where the judiciary goes cap in hand, looking for what to sustain itself. It's really terrible for the nation. You've just made the comment that that is the arm of government that sustains the nation, because whenever there is dispute either between individuals or any government agency or even the federal government and the state, it is that arm of government that is given the constitutional responsibility of settling that dispute. So could it be that the judiciary is being pauperized so that they will pander a certain way to those who have the responsibility of funding it? Maybe so. And I say that there is deliberateness in this because we haven't seen any attempt by the government of this country since 2008 to make an attempt to improve on the welfare of the judiciary, of members of the judiciary. The judges are poorly paid. The justices of the Court of Appeal are poorly paid. The justices of the Supreme Court, you could see in that letter they wrote, talking about the fact that they couldn't even make internet available. That is ridiculous and totally unacceptable.
We understand that even some of my lordship in the Supreme Court now, longhand, writing their own judgments before they even give it to their assistant to type.
Of course, they do not have the tools to work with. Very few of the courts have been digitized.
Maybe for the sake of our viewers who may not understand how these courts operate and the judgment, sometimes judgments could be read for 2-3 hours in the Supreme Court.
Yes.
So I'm talking about the volume. Can you describe sometimes the volume of Supreme Court judgments?
Okay, so
average.
So
people can understand when they say that judges take their time to write the judgment. What is the volume averagely? What does it look like?
Okay, so I give you an example of a matter that comes from the High Court, which goes through the process of appeal to the Court of Appeal and eventually to the Supreme Court. You could have bundles of documents that were submitted first and foremost to the High Court, maybe running into thousands of pages, and then another set of documents that went to the Court of Appeal, another maybe 1,000-page document, before it now gets to the Supreme Court. So you can see in just one matter, in one appeal pending before the Supreme Court, a volume of about 3,000-page documents, which the Supreme Court, the justices of the Supreme Court would have to sit down and go through in order to understand what happened,
line, page
by page, to understand what transpired at the trial court, coming to the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court. It is only when they are able to do that would they be able to hand down a dispassionate decision. Now, they have to do this without any aid of technology because these documents are hard copies of documents that have been filed. Electronic filing of documents have not really gained traction in our judicial system. So most of the courts now still file hard copies of documents. Of course, there are certain courts in this country that have been digitized and electronic filing of documents are already being done, but not without their challenges. I know that I was privileged to be at a function in Lagos, and the practitioners in Lagos are complaining seriously about the challenges of the online filing of court processes in the court and how that has actually caused a clog in the administration of justice because cases that are filed online take as long as maybe a month or two.
So there's a need for urgent reforms.
Absolutely.
Now, Justice Ariwola, whether or not that's going to be the decision of the process leading to how a CGN is being appointed, whether or not within the next 3 months or so, it will be appointed as a substantive CGN or not, has a lot of work, his work cut out for him, isn't it?
It definitely has a lot of work cut out for him.
Where should this begin from? Because first and foremost, are these shadow cast on the judiciary based on the allegations that are flying around about the underhand dealings, the allegations of money lining pockets, and all of that. Can the judiciary take itself out of this?
Well, it's important for us to actually regain the confidence of the public. If we must play our primary role as the agents to drive the sort of reformation, the sort of repositioning, and the recovery that we need in this nation. And earning the confidence of the public means that we have to be transparent, we have to demonstrate sincerity and integrity in the discharge of this function. Now, the Nigerian Bar Association in January of this year convened a justice sector summit. And I think the leadership of the Nigerian Bar Association probably saw this day in convening that justice sector summit. Because what were principally talked about in that summit, number one had to do with the administration of courts. Is it time for us to bring professionals to run our courts so that we don't leave those who are supposed to perform judicial functions with the responsibility of administering the court? That would help the accountability that we are looking for in the judiciary. In that same summit, it was Honorable Justice Amina Augi that came to deliver the keynote address. It was such a frank and sincere discussion that we had. And that saw also very senior lawyers commit to the implementation of the committee.
And it looks so much that we know what the problems are.
Oh, we absolutely know what the problems
solutions. I mean, is it the job of the Attorney General of the Federation to take on these reforms?
Well, he has a role to play.
Because we saw that happen in Lagos years ago.
Exactly. He has a prominent role to play. Every lawyer in this country also has a prominent role to play. And we have to understand first and foremost that we are called to serve the person of justice, Sheun. And the service to justice should be the primary consideration for all we do. And I say this for all legal practitioners, whether serving on the bench or serving as members of the bar. That is what we are called to do.
Now,
by the time we allow other motivations other than the need to serve justice to determine what we do, either on the bench or as members of the bar, then we begin to have this sort of issues that we have to deal with.
Quickly, Ms. Mikiao, the Senate has promised to intervene. Now, the concept and the principles of separation of powers now comes to play now.
Yeah.
How does a bar or the bench or the judiciary generally welcome this kind of intervention? Is it necessary?
Well, I think it's necessary to the extent that we need to know exactly what transpired. And that's the way to be transparent. Actually, one of the
judiciary cannot clean its own mess.
No,
would there be a need for an outsider, another arm of government to do that for them?
Well, so the National Assembly plays a supervisory function over the judiciary.
An oversight.
An oversight function. So, and then it appropriates what goes to the judiciary. So it has that oversight function to determine whether the things or whether the monies budgeted for the judiciary were actually applied for the purpose for which they were budgeted. So to that extent, yes, they could perform that oversight function in determining the budgetary provisions that have been made and to find out whether or not those budgetary provisions were properly appropriated.
All right, quickly, because we have a little more time to spend. Now, the NJC will have a lot of work to do, and the necessary disciplinary body in the bar and the bench have a lot of work to do, isn't it?
Exactly.
To clean up this mess.
It's absolutely.
The ones that are relating to financial impropriety and the ones that are relating to administrative impropriety, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Now, if you look at it, would you say the outposts of the justices were necessary?
Well, I think given the situation, they probably didn't have any other option.
They were moved to the wall.
They probably never had any option other than to do what they did. And I think the justices themselves must have considered the repercussions, and they must have come to the conclusion that this is the only thing that they could do in order to bear out.
Save a sinking ship.
Exactly.
Because it looks like all of us are going to sink.
So let us do this to salvage the situation.
Now, the outgone CGN was honored with the CGON, a national honor by the president. Would you say that was necessary, considering the kind of atmosphere that led to his exit or the resignation?
Well, so that is the prerogative of the president, first and foremost.
Do you think morally it was necessary?
Now, morally, and I must commend the outgone Chief Justice of Nigeria for the decision to quit the office on the ground that he did. Once you find yourself having health challenge, which makes you unable to perform the function of your office, then the honorable thing to do is to take a decision to quit that office. That is an unusual thing to find in our own client. And to that extent, I must commend the Chief Justice, the outgone Chief Justice of Nigeria, Dr. I.T. Muhammad, for taking that decision to quit on health grounds. That has nothing to do with the allegations that have been made in the letter written by the Justices of the Court of Appeal. And you must understand that in our system, the fact that allegations were made aren't conclusive of the guilt of the person. So this has to be looked into, and if any blame is found, it will be apportioned accordingly, and that would be dealt with.
That honor, was it natural? Was it traditional? Was it for the position of the CGN?
Well, I know.
Was it statutory?
Past CGNs have always carried that title, that honors of GCON.
But because the criticism comes the fact that, look, when all of this cloud is over this person, and what you did was to honor him as an exit badge. I mean, a lot of people who have queried that decision say, look, you should have allowed a bit more time to look into what really happened.
Yeah, so it will be a bit presumptive to simply conclude that, all the things that were said in that letter, worrisome as they are, were actually, he's found wanting in those respects. One thing that we're sure of today is the fact that he resigned on health ground. All the other things, and I don't make light of what the justices of the Supreme Court have said. For all the justices of the Supreme Court to come and say that these are our experiences, no doubt they are true, and they are things that they can substantiate, but whether or not the outgone CJN is complicit in getting those situations to be the way they are, it's another thing altogether. Right. That is what we determine his culpability. Mm-hmm. He's presumed innocent with respect to those issues. What he did or didn't do, in becoming complicit in the situation, the alleged mismanagement and all. So he is presumed innocent in that respect. So the only thing that we know about today is the fact that he's suffering from health challenges, and on that ground, he has decided to leave the office.
There's a lot of introspection that will be done in the coming days, and Justice Ariwola sure has his hands on the work and has his work cut out for him.
Justice Ariwola, I should also congratulate. A wonderful jurist, someone who is highly cerebral, someone who is temperate, a man of honor and integrity. I can attest to that. And you saw his colleagues when they went to the Supreme Court, how they rallied around him, and they had smiles all over their faces. All right. I would commend to my Lord Honorable Justice Ariwola to look at the communique that was issued by the Justice Sector Summit that was convened by the Nigerian Bar Association.
We must leave it at that. Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Yakubu Mekion, thank you so much for your intervention.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
But that's how we draw the curtains tonight on the program. Many thanks, everyone, for watching. Sean Kimbale. Bye-bye.